everybody. Today I'm going to review Proto's full polish ratcheting spline combination wrenches. Now I've used ratcheting wrenches for many years, and my number one complaint with them is the fact that most of them are non-directional, meaning that once you tighten something up, or let's say you want to loosen something, you basically have to turn the entire wrench around and then it will rotate in the opposite direction. Now Proto does have a directional change switch on these that eliminates that issue. And another thing that I really like with these is the fact that they are, quote, long pattern, which means they're much longer than a standard wrench, and it gives you a lot of extra leverage when you're working on a vehicle. So not only will it give you extra torque, it's also going to get your hand out of the way, and you're not going to be scraping your fingers on things near what you're working on. So what I'm going to do in this video is basically go over the different features of these wrenches, and then we're going to see them actually being used. If you happen to order one of the sets versus just individual wrenches, it's going to come with a wrench roll. So you can keep everything rolled up, or if you want to hang it on the wall, you can just unroll it, and then they do have these metal eyelets. So there's 3 of those. You can hang those on nails or screws or even on a pegboard, so you'll have easy access to all your wrenches. And then if you want to keep it, let's say, more accessible in your toolbox, you could actually take these out of here and put them in an aftermarket wrench tray, and then that would save a lot on space. But the set that I have is a metric set, and it goes from 6mm to 19mm without skipping any sizes, and these are fully reversible. So there is that switch near the ratcheting box end, and you can change directions very easily. And the good thing about that is it's actually recessed. So it does not stick up above the level of the wrench itself, and it's not going to catch on anything as you're working with this. Now another thing to note is the offset of the box end. You can see it is tilted at an angle, which is about 15 degrees. So if that's on a fastener, you can see the wrench itself will be going up at an angle, and it's not going to hit the other obstructions near the fastener you're working on. So this will allow you to get into some tight places, and the wrench isn't going to constantly be hitting everything near the fastener. It's going to be going above it. For this next demonstration, I'm going to show you the benefits of the Proto ASD anti-slip design. And what that will allow you to do is grip in a rounded off or damaged fastener, and you'll still be able to remove it because let's say you use an older wrench, such as this Craftsman standard raised panel wrench, and you tighten this up too much, or somebody did, and it rounded the corners off. So what I've done is rounded all the corners off on this bolt. This is a 9/16 bolt. And what we're going to do is zoom in on this now. We're going to take the Proto ASD and see if we can remove it. Okay, here's a closer view. You can see that all the corners, the entire way around, are completely rounded over. And what I'm going to do is place the ASD wrench on there, and then we'll see if it's going to break this free. If it's going to lock in, or if it will continue to basically just round the corners off. So here we go. It broke it right free, it did lock in, and we were able to remove the damaged fastener without having to cut it off and drill it out. Okay, next I want to talk about swing arc and why that's important. First we're going to look at the Proto wrench, and you can see on the box end of it is where the actual ratcheting mechanism is that has 72 teeth inside, meaning that as you turn this, each click that you hear is going to be 5 degrees of swing arc or 5 degrees of rotation, because in a circle there's 360 degrees. Where if we look at a standard combination wrench, the box end on those typically have 12 points, and for it to rotate from one point to the next, it's actually going to need to move 30 degrees. The easiest way for me to explain this to you is actually going to be to show you. So what I'm going to do is take the Proto wrench and the standard combination wrench and move them each one position. Now with the standard combination wrench, because it only has 12 points, to move it one position, it's going to have to actually rotate 30 degrees. So you can see if you're trying to loosen or tighten a fastener, how much room you're actually going to need to move this in order to achieve that. Where with the Proto, because it has that 5-degree swing arc, we'll hold the ratcheting mechanism in the end, and then we're going to rotate it until we hear one click, which will be 5 degrees. And then you can see you don't need much room at all in order to have this very long wrench actually move a fastener. If we want to bump that up to the 30 degrees, we have to move it a total of 6 times, which would be 5 additional clicks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it has moved 30 degrees. So that's what they're talking about with swing arc. The lower the swing arc, the less movement the wrench actually has to move in order to engage the fastener. To demonstrate that very low swing arc, which is only 5 degrees, that's created by the 72 teeth in here, what I'm going to do is actually loosen this bolt that's holding the grounding cable on. And the obstructions that we have are the headlamp itself as well as a rubber hood bumper. So there's a very little amount of room to work with here. And if we place the wrench on there, you can see if we rotate it over, it's going to actually hit the headlamp. And then when we loosen the bolt, it's going to swing the opposite direction and it's going to hit that bumper. So there's very little room to work with here, and if you're not using a ratcheting wrench, you're constantly having to take that off, moving it, and then placing it back on the fastener. But you can see how that ratcheting action will really speed things up, and it does grip in, and it's loosening this up with no problem. Now, alternatively, if we want to tighten it, we'll just flip the lever. Now we're going in the opposite direction. So there's no having to turn the wrench over or, hope that everything lines up. And that offset that's on here really allows the wrench to stay out of the way. And the worst that it's doing is hitting the rubber bumper and the very edge of the headlamp as I'm turning it. So now I'm getting it fully tightened, it's back tight, and now the grounding cable would be reinstalled. Now I'm going to demonstrate to you how effective the spline drive is gripping onto damaged fasteners. Using that exact same bolt that we used with the open end, we've re-tightened it down with a Craftsman raised panel. And you can see it is slipping right off the corners. They are completely rounded off. And it's so bad, in fact, that this is a 9/16 wrench. We're going to place that right on that bolt. And the 12-point end is completely rotating around. It cannot grip on. But what we'll do is take the 9/16 Proto wrench, and you can see it's the same exact size. We're going to place the spline drive end on the damaged fastener. So where the Craftsman was just slipping, now the spline drive's on here, and we'll see if it will remove it. And the spline drive was able to break it free immediately, and now we could remove that without having any more problems. So now you've seen Proto's full polish ratcheting spline combination wrenches for yourself. And like I showed you in the clips, the different features that they have built into these make them really easy to use, and they're able to get in there and either remove or tighten a fastener where another wrench just can't do it. Now they do have 38 different sizes with these, ranging from 1/4 inch to 1 1/4 inch, and then on the metric side they have a 6mm all the way to a 32mm. So whatever sizes you need, they have you covered. Now, a big thing that I really like about these Proto ratcheting wrenches is the fact that they're 100% made and assembled in the USA, right in Dallas, Texas, and they have a full lifetime warranty through Proto against manufacturer defects. So let's say you go out 10 years from now and you go to use this and the end is just locked up. As long as it's not something that you did to break it, they're going to replace it for you free of charge. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. And thanks for watching.